Hey everybody, this is Eric with FlightBridgeED and welcome back. I wanted to take about 10 minutes and I wanted to talk about scene times. And you kind of might think, that's going to be kind of a boring topic. I had read a study that some colleagues of mine that I work closely with had done. They did this study in 2008 and they concluded this in 2012. And I found it very interesting and it really brought a lot of things to the forefront for me. And I want to share that with everybody. I think it's going to be a great reminder. So I want to first recognize who did this study. The study was conducted by 4 different people. Ken Palazzo, he's a paramedic and clinical manager for Air Methods out of New York. Dr. Pete Tilney is a DO, medical director for Air Methods out of New York. Deb Funk is again another medical director for LifeNet of New York, Air Methods, and they conducted this study again. And it started in 2008. They looked at approximately 3,700 patients, and they concluded this study in 2012, and it was encompassed 2 states, approximately 7 aircraft. So it looked at a lot of patients, and it wanted to see if the 10-minute scene time, or the Platinum 10 is how this study was labeled, is feasible. So remember the golden hour. The golden hour was established as kind of the golden rule for trauma. We needed to have somebody to a definitive care trauma facility within 1 hour. And this was established a long time ago in the 70s, mid-70s. We teach, and we have been taught throughout our career that we need to have a quick scene time. We need to try to get off scene, whether we're on the ambulance or we're in a helicopter. We need to be off scene within 10 minutes. So that's extremely important, and that if we lengthen it out too much, we're really pushing that golden hour out of the window. So this study, I thought, was excellent. It looked at some different concepts about bedside time. It looked at interventions and how that really did play into our golden hour and our Platinum 10. So again, let's recap. It's seven aircraft in LifeNet of New York, Guthrie Air. It was from June of 2008 to February 2012, and they looked at, again, bedside times, and they looked at different procedures. So they looked at IV access, they looked at airway management, and they looked at medication administration. And they compiled all this data based on, again, about 3,700 patients. We'll kind of just jump in. So basically, what they found was a helicopter landing on scene and making patient contact and getting off the ground. The average time with no interventions involved was about 7.5 minutes. So median time was about 7 minutes, we'll say. If you add IV access to that, so the flight crew gets in the back of the ambulance, they decide, well, let's start an IV real quick. No, the ground EMS crew hadn't established an IV. That right there almost adds 3 minutes to that. So you're already at that 10-minute window. You haven't even loaded the patient in the aircraft. You haven't even got off the ground, spooled back up. If you were cold load, or you're adding a couple more minutes to that. So you're probably pushing 14, 15 minutes. You add medication administration onto that, you add another 2 minutes. So you can see how each one of those things compound to the other. And then if you jump right up into airway management and RSI, you're jumping another 11 minutes onto there. So what they found was that, if we get off the ground, or we get on scene, we make patient contact, we do no interventions, and we get them back to the helicopter, we get in flight. Our average scene time was anywhere from 9 to 13 minutes, basically. Okay, no interventions, and that's on landing and getting back off the ground. You add medication administration to that, you're at the max. You're at 16 minutes. Okay, so we're definitely above our 10-minute desired scene time. Obviously, to give it medication administration, you have to have an IV established, and whether that is done prior to your arrival, can add more time. So if you have to perform vascular access and you want to give a medication, your scene times were anywhere from 15 to 28 minutes. And really, guys, that's ridiculous. As much as we want to think that being a flight paramedic or flight nurse is, we're saving the world and we're gods. The only reason we're really being activated for the most part in trauma situations is because we provide a mode of vehicle or mode of transport that's quicker than an ambulance. We can get them to a definitive care facility quicker. That's the bottom line. There's very few programs out there that carry blood. If you do, is it going to make a huge difference? If they're critically injured and they're bleeding out inside, the blood is just going to, can cause, obviously save some time, but, for the most part, it's not going to make a massive difference. So the only thing that's really going to make a huge difference is a definitive facility with a level 1 trauma surgeon that can handle definitive care for that patient. You go all the way down and you have a patient where you need to establish an IV, you need to RSI them and manage their airway. You're seeing times running from 26 to 40 minutes. That's horrible. Now, let me say something about that. Obviously, there are those patients that we have that are critical, that are hypoxic, they're bradycardic, their airway is compromised, that we need to manage now. That they're not going to survive if we don't do that. But I've flown for 10 years. I know that is very far and few between, that for most cases you can load them in the helicopter and you can do things in flight. We shouldn't be establishing IVs on the ground. We shouldn't be doing those things. We can get them in flight. And obviously there's those cases if you have a combative patient or you have, those cases that are those outliers, you're going to have to perform certain procedures in the back of the ambulance. And I totally understand that. I think this study really reminded me that we're there for one purpose, and we need to get off the ground quick. We need to get in flight, and we can perform most procedures, during our flight to the level 1 trauma center. But a 40-minute scene time, if you had to do IV access, airway management, RSI, etc., that's a huge scene time. I mean, you're really cutting in, and then you have anywhere from, depending on where you're at, if you're in a really rural area, you could have an hour flight to a level 1 trauma center. So you're an hour and 40 minutes right there, just patient contact, and that's not even considering, maybe the time of injury, patient access and to EMS and to fire and things like that. So you could be a couple hours out, and survivability really goes down. Morbidity, mortality really increases. So I think this is an excellent reminder that we need to really watch our scene times. I know there's flight crews out there that really don't worry about that. I know we all become complacent. I definitely am guilty of that at times, and we really need to communicate with our partners, communicate with our pilots, and have a plan, have a definitive plan. Try to get some type of a report from the ground crew and make a plan. If you have a compromised airway, maybe try to plan prior and try to draw up your medications and have a plan in place to get off the ground as quick as possible. That's what's going to help our patients the most. So I just wanted to really give credit to this study and the excellent clinicians involved in producing this. I thought it was well done, and I know it's been presented around the country in a few conferences. So I just wanted to put that out there and really just remind everybody how important that is. We have the website up and going. I wanted to just take a few seconds and just remind everybody that we have a forum now, and the forum is up and going, and we're going to be putting patient scenarios on there. We're going to be putting, pretty complex patient scenarios, different patient presentations, and things like that. We're going to have excellent moderators that can moderate these scenarios, and we want this to be an excellent learning environment. So I encourage you to register for an account and get involved. Send me your feedback. There's a contacts page on the website. You can send me feedback, ideas, comments, good or bad. I want to hear about them. Or you can email me at eric@FlightBridgeED.com, and I will definitely respond to you as quickly as possible. So I just want to thank you for listening. This has been a pretty short podcast, and I'll talk to you soon.